religion and Christian fundamentalism, I noticed one thing. It takes more faith to believe in an invisible, all-knowing being than any faith that an atheist could ever conjure in order to believe in an invisible being. If you've ever heard Christians say, it takes more faith to be an atheist than to be a Christian, it's a very popular trope. Christians make it out to be so ridiculous to be an atheist. Like, all of this was chance, evolution. It makes more sense that a God made all this. And these are the same people that believe that God, an invisible, masculine deity who has never been seen and has never been proven to exist, spoke and created nothing or something out of nothing. It takes more belief that there is an invisible, all-knowing, impotent, omnipresent deity than believing that it just happened the way it's happened. There is no evidence to prove creationism. But Christians will say it came about by a creator. In order to believe something, there has to be enough evidence to prove that whatever is happening or has happened, there's enough evidence so you don't look like a delusional idiot to believe it. And yet, there is not enough evidence to prove that a creator created. And yeah, you can argue there's an intelligent design. That doesn't mean that there is a supernatural deity that did it. We don't know what happened. We'll never know what happened. I don't believe we ever will. And evolution, it's a theory. It has not been proven. And I'm not advocating for creationism. I don't believe there's a God. And I have at least 300 videos saying why I don't believe in God. If there is some divinity out there, it's not the God of the Bible. The God of the Bible is very cruel, very misogynistic, very pro-slavery, and very anti-sex. And what I mean by anti-sex, you know what I mean. Christians are not sex obsessed. Like, why do people care what people do? Why do they care? Because the God of the Old Testament was obsessed with when, where, how, and how often. Christians will gaslight you and say there's no evidence of evolution. There's no evidence of a freaking God either. I don't have to believe in God. And people can say, well, not believing in him doesn't mean he's not real. And that's completely true. There is no evidence that there is a loving, supportable God out there. And Christians will believe whatever they want. But it's faith. It's not fact. There is no fact that proves that God even exists. And I'm glad God doesn't exist. Can you imagine a megalomaniac creating a world, knowing it's going to go crazy and just be an awful, awful existence, men in charge, men who are historically known for doing the most sexual and awful violence. That is a good God. That is the God that put those people in charge. The people most likely to enter into a war. Yeah. I don't believe there's a God. I'm not saying there isn't a God, because we don't know everything that's out there. I'm pretty sure there aren't aliens, a flying spaghetti monster, or anything like that. It's not consistent with the physical world we live in. And when Christians or apologetics try to say, God exists, my response is, prove it. In order to prove that there is a new element in the solar system, in order to prove that a new animal species exists, you have to prove it exists. And Christians are incapable, undesiring, or naive enough to believe that a book proves the existence of something. The Bible, just because it has provable plots and provable locations, does not make it divine. If that were true, any book that has a location that has been proven to have existed at that time would be divine. That would make the Iliad divine. That would make every book based in an actual location divine. Why is one religious book more divine and more proof of God's existence? It's not proof. It's just lazy thought. And when you have critical thinking, which was discouraged in any Christian or Christianity circle, you start to realize creationism is a lazy way of looking at the universe. There's no God. That doesn't mean there's no morality, no love, no kindness. It means we have to fix the world. We have to hold people to a higher standard. And if there is a God, he's a deist God, which means he created everything and then left to let us clean up the mess. That's not omnipresence. That's just a God playing with people's lives. And women will always bear the brunt of social and religious subjection. I don't want to have lazy thought. I don't want to believe that a belief or faith is a reality or is a factual statistic, because it's not. No belief is fact. And if the most brilliant minds who have won Nobel Peace Prizes don't believe in God because there's no evidence, they might be onto something. Whatever this is, however the world came to be, God, there wasn't a God who created it. There's no invisible spaghetti monster or an invisible pink unicorn in the sky. Because if there was, he did an awful job. And I can remain an atheist because I believe one thing. My morality won't permit me to entertain faith as fact. I want to have intelligent, philosophical questions. And if somebody's idea of reality is a made-up book that was popular back when the wheel was invented, before we understood the circulatory system, I'm not taking life advice or morality tips from a book that told ancient Jews how long to wait before they forced captive women to marry them.